This is you. You're trying to work, but for some reason, you just can't lock in. So you start procrastinating for hours. I was in this spot a week ago, but that's when I did something magical. I locked back in and got all this work done in 2 hours. If you're wondering what I did, I forced myself to lock in using one of the 5 tricks in this video. All these tricks are used by CEOs and athletes to get themselves back in the game, and it's why they're so successful. Luckily, I'm going to tell you about them, starting with trick number 1. So back to the story. I was sat on my desk with my work in front of me, trying to get this video script done fast, so I get everything out the way and try to lock in instantly. But problem is, I couldn't. I would keep procrastinating no matter what, until eventually I wasted a full hour. This devastated me, to the point where I got insanely angry at myself. You've probably been here before, where you're trying to work because the task is important, but you just can't focus. This is an issue that plagues all of us, but here's the problem. If you search for a solution on YouTube, you'll only get the Pomodoro technique and that's it. No one has a good answer for it. But luckily for you, to find the answer, I did this. Out of desperation, I opened up Discord and I sent this very angry message. But that is when my friend would give me the best answer I could have ever gotten. This. Okay, well, but then he said this. Stop thinking and instead do. You might be confused on how this led me to this. Well, here's how. When you procrastinate, something is stopping you from working. The reason this happens is because your brain is going through conflict. Let me explain. Your mind is naturally lazy, so it will delay tasks. That's normal. But when this happens, we start to do one of 3 things. 1, beat ourselves up for it. 2, argue with ourselves. Or 3, ponder why we can't focus. But the more you do these things, the less likely you are to even begin. So what's the best way to solve this? Well, open your work and just begin anyway. Don't have to think hard to do this. Just lower your standards and start working. It's that easy. Now, that was the first trick of this video. It's something no one really tells you. However, it's so effective. But the advice doesn't stop there, because for the second trick, we're going to use some psychology. Basically, I want you to look at this dot. I'm going to keep it on the screen for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Now let me explain. There's this thing in your brain called tunnel vision. If you focus on one thing for enough time, everything else will disappear. But what you didn't notice was that doing this actually does something incredible. Because of this dot, there are 2 things happening to you right now. First of all, in your brain, there's these 2 parts. There's the frontal lobe, the part that's responsible for your attention, and the cerebral cortex, the one that helps you process things. Right now, those 2 parts are getting activated, making them stronger. And second, because of tunnel vision, the thing you're focusing on becomes much larger while everything else gets smaller. This is exactly how a flow state feels like. Okay, so what's the instruction? Well, here's the thing. I used this as a hack at school whenever I couldn't focus. And I kid you not, every time I did it, I would zone in for 40 minutes and I would get it done like that. Basically, if you're writing something, I want you to look at the last character you type and just stare at it. But here's the magic. The more you look at it, the more you tunnel vision. This puts you in a state where your brain is processing the work, which is perfect because in this mode, you can bring out ideas easily. But remember what I said I would put a dot here for 1 minute and 30 seconds? Well, if you look at the thing for that amount of time, you'll get the best flow state you could ever ask for. Anyways, that was a fun one. But now it's time for trick number 3. This trick actually saved me from failing in class. Let me tell you about it. It's 2022 and I'm sat in my classroom with a laptop. The room is completely silent as everyone's focused, but problem is, I wasn't. I kept on getting distracted and I could not lock in. However, the teacher then notices. This makes her annoyed because the entire class was on crunch time, so I had to zone in quick. But that's when I had an idea. Before I show you what happened, let me explain what I did that was so awesome. So everything in life has steps. When you wake up, you get out of bed, you're walking to the bathroom, showering. It's all a process. This is the same with your work. Step 1, start typing. Step 2, edit what you wrote, so on and so forth. But there have been times where I could not start step 1 because I was quite literally clueless. I'm sure you've been there where you don't know how to start. But fear not, I'm going to create the first step for you. I want you to load up your work right now and go to when you last left off. At this spot, you're going to play a little game. When you have no clue what to do, that means your mind is not engaged. To change this, you're going to start typing, but here's the catch. To get over this barrier, you're going to type whatever you want, and I want you to keep doing this until an idea pops up. What I did to you is that I put you in the right state of mind, so now you know what to do. This should put you in the zone, and it will make the work a whole lot easier. Anyway, in that class, I actually aced it because of that tip, okay? So don't ignore it. Now, this next trick, you might not like it because it's controversial, but Say what you want about it, it's still the most effective motivation tool in the world. Just ask Mike Tyson. Basically, let's take these three athletes. You have Jack, Josh, and Kane. Jack is your standard athlete. He plays purely for the money. So far, he has 1 gold medal. Josh, on the other hand, is fairly competitive. He has won himself 3 gold medals, and he's placed in the top 10. But Kane, he's hiding something dark. The reason he works so hard is not what you would expect. Whenever he's on the field, he looks at his opponents, but they're not actually his opponents. They're his enemies. In Patrick Bet-David's book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, the leading advice he gives is to choose your enemies. I've done this before, and immediately I was able to work 12 hours every day, all because I wanted to prove someone wrong. Now, I get it, you want to stay neutral, but the amount of pure firepower you'll be missing out on is extra mental. Holding an enemy is the reason why Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan both won so much, because they made every match personal. So if you want to do this, here's how to get yourself an enemy. You can't just choose a random guy in the street because he hasn't done anything wrong, right? The trick here is that it has to be personal. For example, think of someone who bullied you or someone who doubted you. If you get angry thinking about it, then bingo. Now it's your goal to prove them wrong. Once you're angry, put it towards your work. I promise you the flow state will be extra mental. Now, for the 5th trick, this is something that's in Tony Robbins' famous book, Awaken the Giant Within. There's a reason it's all over his seminars. Because not only is it easy, it's also incredibly effective. Basically, he's a rich guy with an expensive car. He loves his car. In his mind, he believes he's high value. And you would say that's because of his car, right? Well, he's an 18-year-old boy. He also believes he's high value. But difference is, he has nothing. Already, you're probably wondering, why does that kid think he's high value? Well, this is where the power of beliefs comes into play. Basically, to show you what's going on, let me give you a powerful belief. You're a disciplined athlete. You probably don't think you are, but let's make you one. Right now, I want you to think of a time when you were disciplined. Like when you did a cold shower, or when you did your work super early. That memory is proof that you are a disciplined athlete. Now notice what we did there. When you thought of that moment where you worked without feeling like it, it actually reinforced the identity, which in turn makes you act more disciplined as a result. This is the power of a belief, right? For a belief to work, you need to 1, have an identity, and 2, have evidence to reinforce that identity. Okay, it could be anything. For example, the rich guy thought he was high value because of his car. Now subscribe and keep never quitting.